You're watching Service Drive, exclusively on CBT News.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome into another edition of Service Drive right here at CBTnews.com. Historically, dealerships have relied on fixed ops as a revenue stabilizer in times when variable ops are a little too variable. But are dealers doing everything that they can do to optimize opportunities in their service lanes? Joining us now to share key findings from the Cox Automotive's 2025 Service Industry Study is Skyler Chadwick, who's the Senior Director of Product Consulting for Cox Automotive. Thank you so much, Skyler, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us on the show.
Hey, Jim, thanks for having me here. I'm super excited to be here today.
Sure. So let's talk about some of the top takeaways from this report.
Yeah. There's three trends I would say that this service industry insights that we did this year. One of them is that the immense of intensified competition that we're seeing on dealerships when it comes to general repair, your quick lane shops and those types of things. And so one of the things that we've seen, and back in 2018, it was at 33%, and now we're at 29% here sitting in 2025. And so even though that the total number of vehicles has an operation has increased and service revenue has continued to grow, dealerships are continuing to see that piece of that pie continue to dwindle. And so that intensified competition is at the top of the list. Number two is convenience. We continue to struggle with convenience as a factor where consumers decide they want to take their vehicle for service and basically return it back to the dealership. And right, a lot of times dealerships, we can't control location, we can't control those types of things, but there's a lot of things that we can control when it comes to cost and transparency, and also the speed of the service too as well, and how we actually schedule those vehicles. And so that would be number two. And I would say number three would be service lane inventory is such a gold mine for dealerships today. And we're just not doing a great job at that. And then when I say that is in this study, there are these consumers that participated, 33% of them said they're highly interested in getting their value while their vehicle's in service. And a lot of that is due to if they have service recommendations or at that little bit above that $3,000 mark. We're starting to see those customers are really interested in saying, hey, maybe it is time for me to look in getting a different car or upgrading that vehicle to continue down the road. So
yeah, for sure. That $3,000, I think I'd be interested in taking a look at something as well, right? As soon as somebody says, well, maybe I can buy a car with little or no money down and just trading my vehicle in rather than coming up with $3,000. And by the way, in a lot of cases, those vehicles, as you know, are still out of warranty, even though you paid that $3,000 repair bill, right? You don't know what's going to happen next to that car.
Yeah, and a lot of times too some of these customers, service contracts being sold in service is a huge part of that. And a lot of those customers don't realize that money can actually go back to those customers and use as a down payment and so forth to getting that new vehicle. So service lane inventory acquisition is such a huge gold mine, and it's something that we really need to focus on in 2026 for sure. Oh,
wow, no question about it. What were some of the changes from the study in 2023?
Retention is probably the number one factor that we saw. Back in 2023, it was at 72%, and now that's down to 54% in 2025. And so what's crazy about this percentage of retention is declined is that we're seeing customers that have owned that vehicle for 2 years are not returning back to the dealership. And so that 2-year mark is actually where we're starting to see those customers fall off and actually take their business to these general repair service and the other locations. And the other part of it too is mobile service growth. I don't think it's in every area, but I think we're starting to see a lot of OEMs get behind this, and we're starting to see some push from that direction too as well. And it comes down to that convenience factor that I talked about first, is that consumers are looking at other ways. And so a lot of dealerships are testing that water with service pick and delivery. And now we're starting to see that pick up with actual mobile service where technicians come to your house and actually servicing your vehicle there, as well as a convenience factor.
Yeah, and I would think that one element alone would bring that customer back to your dealership because I don't think the independents are doing anything like that, right?
Yeah, no, independents don't have it, right? They don't have the infrastructure to do that and so forth. And so that's where we see the things, and that's where dealerships can actually really focus on that actual retention factor and that transparency with their customers for sure.
Yeah.
The other part of that too is, it really comes down to repair versus replace.
Yeah.
We've seen a shift with that too as well. And so we're starting to see that normalize with volumes after 2023 peak, but it's really coming in a big factor in the customer's decision, like, do I repair this versus replace? And so we're starting to see that shift, and that should tell dealerships, going back to that whole equity mining of their service lane, right? Your service lane is not just about checking customers in, it's about creating that amazing customer experience, building that trust and transparency. And really now it's a way for dealerships to look at buying inventory from those customers, getting them into something else for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I've spoken to a number of dealers that have purchased literally hundreds of cars off their service lane in the last couple of years, and they see it as just such a viable avenue to go to acquire pre-owned vehicles for their used car lot. And many of them kick themselves and go, "Why haven't I been doing this for years?" It seems like it came about maybe after COVID, and everybody needed used cars, and a lot of dealers got into it then, and there's no turning back now, right?
Yeah. Why not buy a car that you actually know?
Yeah. That's right.
That's the factor that we have to look at too, is that dealerships have looked over that as like, oh yeah, we do know that car. So what is that customer? Is this customer service their vehicle well?
Yeah.
Has it been maintained? Has it had a service contract? And all those things go into that whole thing. And so we're starting to see that become a huge factor, and we'll see that in 2026 for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And in the event that somebody acquires a car, they also don't have to pay that $3,000 bill. Usually, a deal can be made to say, "Look, we'll pay the service bill, and we'll give you a check, for the balance, or pay off your car, whatever the case might be." And a lot of people are, I guess, taking dealers up on that offer. So, what have you found that the dealers are doing well in? Of course, you just mentioned one of them right there with this acquisition of vehicles. But what are some of the other things that you feel they're doing well in fixed ops?
Revenue and growth has continued to grow, and a lot of that is due to service and parts revenue. Like we see that with labor and costs have gone up, and also parts and labor has gone up too as well. And so that has grown 33% since 2018 as far as dealership growth. And so that's a big part of that. And they'll continue to see those specific things as dealerships put service and their fixed ops in the forefront there too as well. Customer experience, 46% of consumers reported better experience than dealerships, citing, speed and communication and professionalism, those types of things.
Yeah.
But it really comes down to me is, I think it's around technology. I think consumers are really gravitating towards dealerships using video. I can approve services right from my phone. Just really speeding up the whole consumer experience, and technology is doing a great job. And so I think dealerships are doing a really good job at that too as well. The other part is loyalty impact. 88% say their impact on how their services, how they get treated at the dealership, their service experience really impacts if they come back to the dealership and buy a car from them.
Yeah.
So loyalty impact is a huge thing, and just really adopting those digital tools, which is really a huge part of that. And I think that we got to get back to the basics, and it really starts with scheduling and how we think about the loyalty impact. Just the other day, my truck needed an oil change, and I actually looked it up. I tested it because I'm doing some research and so forth right now. But it's amazing to me is like I went to 4 dealerships, OEM branded dealerships, and it was amazing to me. Only one of them could tell me what it was going to cost for me to do an oil change on my truck.
Oh, that's a problem.
It's a problem. And so a lot of times we also you go to a restaurant and you see a large menu, you get overwhelmed, right? We got to go back to the basics. We got to really streamline what we're doing to our customers.
That's right.
Making sure professionalism, we put the right things in front of us for the customers to make the best decisions too as well.
That's so true, so true. And of course the idea that when you call a dealership, it in some cases it's 2 weeks out to get your car in. That's not going to work well with today's consumer. They, if they call you up and say, "I need an oil change," or "I'm overdue for one," they don't want to hear it's 2 weeks or even a week. It's got to be something because it's just going to drive that customer right over to Pet Boys, and therein lies, the upselling that's going to take place, or the set of tires they're going to sell the person while they're there, and all of that revenue that the dealer is out simply because they couldn't get that customer into the service center quicker, right?
Yeah, I don't go to Amazon without seeing a price.
Right.
And I think Amazon has really speed up our consumers and what they truly want. They expect it now. And so we, as dealerships, we got to look at our processes and our tools and solutions. And are we really following those best practices to make sure that we take care of the customer's needs right then and there?
That's right.
Do we have, we can't wait 2 weeks. All right. That, like you said, it exactly is the way consumers are feeling today is, hey, guess what? If I can't find the price on my dealership's website, I'm gonna immediately go somewhere else.
That's right.
And if I can't get in for 2 to 3 weeks, well, I gotta go somewhere else I can get, right? I don't want to wait 3 more weeks for an oil change because that's not good for the health vehicle of our car. That can cause other issues too.
That's right. That's right. Now we're at a time when it's a record high for the number of years that the average vehicle is on the road. I think it's now 12 and a half years or something in that vicinity, and that too lends nicely to fixed ops and fixed ops revenue, right? I mean, people are keeping their cars longer. It's not unheard of for somebody to be driving around with 100,000+ miles on their vehicle because the technology, the cars are lasting longer, but that also means that car is going to need more service, right? So that I think there's a huge opportunity there for dealers that focus on this.
Yeah, I mean, it went from 12.6 just last year to 12.8 this year. The year of vehicle on the road, and those vehicles need major services done. It's time to focus on those. But again, we really got to focus on those customers, right? We can't let that customer at that 2-year mark just go, right? We really got to make sure that we keep them in our ecosystem and we make that customer happy in that loyalty program too.
That's right. That's right. Anything else that you feel dealers should focus on as we go into 2026?
I think the biggest thing I've been talking to dealerships, we've got to combat this cost misconception that dealers cost more than the mobile services, and it's out there. The estimates are in this study actually that show that dealerships are not more expensive; they're actually cheaper.
Right.
These independent shops, and so as dealerships, we got to do a better job of combating that and that misconception there too as well. The other thing too, my number 2 big thing is we got to integrate this service to sales concept, right? We've got to be on the same team, right? We got to understand, hey, this customer is in the dealership. They're in buying mode and they're ready to, maybe they get a $3,000 service repair bill. Let's look at how we can bring these 2 teams together and really make sure that the customer's happy for sure. I think those 2 things, if we can do that and speed up communication, I think that will help with the retention factors and those types of things too as well. So dealerships, we've got a lot of work to do. I think we need to go back. And it's amazing to me when I talk to dealerships or dealer principals or GMs, and I always ask them, have you ever scheduled a service appointment on your dealership's website? A lot of times they say no, and I said, you should go try and see how it really looks, because it opens up their eyes saying, are we really doing the right things? We have these amazing tools, but are we using those tools really effectively to make sure that have our customers have a better experience?
That's right. And while you're at it, dealers, pick up the phone or pick up your friend's phone, better yet, because they all know your number at the dealership. Call the dealership and then ask them, or have your friend ask them, how much is an oil change, or how much are some of the basic the cost of some of the basic services at your store. See what happens. See what happens in terms of how long you're put on hold. I mean, I just called to get my vehicle serviced a couple of weeks ago, and the first time I was actually hung up on inadvertently. The young lady hung up on me, didn't mean to. I understand that happens. But then when I called back, I was put on hold for almost 3 minutes. And as you know, 3 minutes on hold is a very long period of time. So these types of things are just not acceptable. So, when dealers do that and they do an audit on their store, they usually, pull their hair out of their head saying, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Look, we're spending all this money on advertising to get the phone to ring or somebody to click on. And to your point, you can't even get the information on the website that you need to get. Let me just ask you one other thing. AI has really played a very big role in service, as you know, in fixed ops, in not just incoming calls and setting appointments, but also on an outgoing call campaigns for recalls of work that's got to be done, and also for work that's been turned down, where AI can just handle literally hundreds of calls in a second versus having somebody in your BDC calling all those people, right? Talk to us about the importance of AI now with fixed ops.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me about AI is you got to test your customers. You almost need to understand and see, do our customers respond to AI quickly? Because I always tell dealerships, right, a Toyota customer is very different than a Lexus customer.
Yeah.
And so even though they're very similar in those brands and so forth, we really need to look at, hey, how do our consumers actually respond to AI? the biggest first thing I always tell dealerships, well, guess what? Do your customers respond to scheduling those service appointments well? If they do, then guess what? They're going to respond well to AI. If they contact you about your declined service repair or any type of marketing campaigns that you're using AI today to get that customer back into the dealership. And so dealerships, this is a really good time for you to test what your consumers are saying to you. And here, everything we said here today may not fit your mold, but guess what? I always tell dealerships, this is the perfect time of the year to do a reassessment on how you are doing and really focusing on your customers and your loyalty. But AI is going to be a huge part of that because AI, in my opinion, it's not going to be the 2-week wait no more. It's going to be like the next day, the next 3 days that are going to be able to help us and get those customers in and out of our dealerships faster, making technicians faster, making their job easier, and also most importantly, advisors, making sure that they can really manage their day more effectively too as well.
That's exactly right. We'll leave it right there. Skyler Chadwick, Director of Product Consulting at Cox Automotive. Thank you so much for stopping by. Very much appreciated. I know our dealers and fixed ops directors will get a lot out of your visit with us and your discussion today.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Service Drive, exclusively on CBT News.